Here we go. Good evening, everyone. Finally, Monday is meditation time. You guys ready? That's so silly. It's not like it's gonna be exciting. Well, sometimes it is exciting, but it's been a long day for me, so I'm like, yes, finally I get to sit down and do some meditation. Sometimes when I was a monastic and we were sitting like really long, gruesome hours, and it would be on like in the afternoon, so you were going through something really rough. You'd almost have to like psych yourself up. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna sit down. It's gonna be tough, but we're gonna make it. Just 5 more hours left now. We can do it. We can do it. And yeah, it did usually work, but I think it's better to have a bit of a softer approach to going into meditation. Who do we have with us tonight? Still have that delay. Yeah, it's a little bit, takes some time getting used to. Hey, Mindful Mama, nice to see you here. You know, sometimes when you're supposed to sit, or you have like your intention to sit and you have a time for it, but then you're so tired, you just sit like this. You're like, okay, if I sit now, I'm just gonna fall asleep. If you just sit down, most of the time it takes care of itself, but sometimes it really is a struggle to stay awake. But it is interesting to know that many times when you sit, you'll actually go through it and the tiredness will just disappear. It's quite strange, especially when you have a long period of tiredness. It seems that it's something you go through, so it's not actually real tiredness. My point being that it doesn't matter if you're tired, you can still sit. And usually, not always, but usually you'll sleep better after. For those of you who are new, we start at, in about a few minutes, a little bit after 8 o'clock. And then we sit for 20 minutes. After those 20 minutes, if someone has any questions, there's a question and answer for those who want to. You can ask questions. Or you can just keep on sitting if you like to do that also. It's nice just before you sit, you can prepare a little bit, just get into a comfortable position. I like to stay somewhat warm. It's nicer than being cold, but also, you can always take it off if it gets too warm. One thing you can do if you have lots of thoughts, instead of trying to remember them all, you can actually have a piece of paper and you just write those thoughts down, even though it can be really interesting to actually observe your thoughts and see how you so need to write them down because they seem really important. And then it can be a good exercise to not write them down and see what that feels like, because we do feel like we have the solutions to the world's problems when we sit, and it's just the mind kind of throwing up stuff. It's just a really good exercise to kind of go through that without actually trying to remember it or writing it down. But you can also write it down if it becomes too troublesome. Okay, so we'll start the meditation. So just put yourself in a comfortable position where you can stay relaxed and start focusing on your breath. Just start focusing on your breath as the air is going into your body and the air is going out of your body. You can choose where you want to put your focus, but generally you want to try to make it wide, as big as possible. It's nice to focus around the chest area, but you can also focus around the nose, where the air comes in, and the back of your throat. You can feel how your stomach is contracting and expanding, just feeling as air is coming in and air is going out. And as usual, we're going to count together from 1 to 8, and then down from 8 to 1. And after that, you can continue counting by yourself. So we'll start together with breathing in and breathing out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. and breathing out. 4. Breathing in and breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 8. Breathing in and breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 4. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in and breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 1. Now just continue counting your breath, going from 1 to 8 and then down from 8 to 1. Remember to put the count of the breath at the end of a cycle, because when you observe your breath, you'll notice that if you relax and let the breath happen by itself, there will be an in-breath, followed by a short pause as the breath turns around and you breathe out. And then there's another longer pause. And in this pause, it's much easier for the mind to just drift away and you forget completely that you're meditating. So that's why we count in that pause, to keep us aware of the breath. As you're breathing in and out. 1. In and out. The goal is not to be able to do as many counts from 1 to 8 and 8 to 1. The goal that we're trying to do, or actually not even a goal, but what we're trying to do is just come back. We're just trying to remember and remind ourselves that we keep coming back to the breath. Because as you keep coming back to the breath over and over and over again, you will develop stickiness of the mind, or samadhi as it's called. And your awareness will just stick to your breath instead of having to struggle. It will just stay there easily without effort. As you follow your breath, breathing in and breathing out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. If you want to take this meditation one step further, there is something you can start observing when you're observing your breath. Instead of seeing the breath as a whole cycle where it goes in and turns around and goes out and there's a pause, meaning that you see it as a cycle of breath. Instead of observing it like that, try to see if you can see just breath. And what I mean by that is that you don't see the start, the end, the middle of the breath. You just see breath is happening now, and now there's no breath. And then breath is happening again now. In the beginning, this can feel almost a bit staccato, like it's stuttering. But if you can learn how to tune your awareness, your focus, you can see breath in this moment and not just as a whole. That will help you bring you into the present moment. So try to observe your breath as it's going in and it's going out. 1. In and out. Remember to stay relaxed. Your arms should not be tense. They should just be hanging loosely by your shoulders. You can even move your shoulders around a little bit to make sure that your upper body is not tensing up. It's also easy when one starts to at least try to observe the different slices of the breath instead of seeing the breath as a whole. That one tenses because I want to focus hard on every single part of the breath. Then just try to relax instead. See it more as a sharp pen following an outline, just moving up. At every point you're touching the breath, just touching, and moving down as it's touching. But it's not really moving down, it's just breath. It's just breath happening. As you're breathing in and breathing out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. If you feel that you have too many thoughts that are intruding into your mind, and you find that it's actually getting difficult and giving you anxiety, then an option that works really well is to simply stand up and start walking very slowly with your eyes open, downcast, and observing as you walk. Anxiety can be difficult to sit with, and it's important to not overwhelm oneself as you observe your breath going in and going out. 1, going in and going out. If you want to, you can just keep on sitting, and you're also welcome to ask questions if you have any. I was saying towards the end that walking meditation is actually a really good technique to use if you have a lot of anxiety. Let's see, there's some questions. ODT, thank you, you're welcome. Nice. Oh, Esperanza. I was a little late to the party. I was climbing gym earlier. Enjoy sitting very much today. Thank you. I'm happy you did. I mean, thank you. You did that. I didn't do anything. It's so interesting how different it can feel today. There's so much heat for me. I'm sitting and it's just like I'm flustered and my whole body feels like I have a fever. I mean, I had a fever last week, but I don't have one now. Still, it feels like it. And then sometimes you're very cold, and sometimes it feels like you're shaking, and sometimes it's so still and quiet that it's just, yeah, you just sit and it's quiet. But people have the idea that they need to have a specific kind of sitting many times, that there's one way that's better than the other, but sitting really is different every single time. That's why it's so good to do it continuously, because you get to see the different aspects of it. And you also get to see that it's not just you sit down and you feel amazing when you sit. That's sometimes that happens, but that's not necessarily a good sitting. Oddity, what kind of sittings did you do before? Taking it with the counting between the breath and focusing on the moment. Yes, it is. It's different, isn't it? Because I try to not bring in too many things to focus on from the beginning. And now some people have been here for a while, so it's easier. But I want to involve new stuff as well. When you just see the breath as a whole circle or something happening, you're not really focused on the breath right now. But if you try to almost slice the breath as it's going up, it feels like that in the beginning, and then when your concentration gets higher, it's almost like you have a really sharp pencil and it sticks, and you're just focusing on that point like this and stopping, and it's very easy to follow. But that means you're actually observing this moment. And like I said, the counting on the end of the breath was something that I've came up with when I was sitting, and I realized that I keep losing, disappearing into my thoughts, and it always happened at the end of the breathing cycle. And I thought, why? Well, because that's where the breath naturally stops, and when you sit and get really deep into concentration, it's usually very quiet and it's very shallow breath. You can barely feel it. The breath can be so small that you can actually get panic because it feels like you're not breathing, which is a common thing that happens when you get into really deep concentration states. I see Mindful Mama saying, thank you very much. I'm going to sit a bit longer. I feel that, oh no, I don't want it to be done when the bell rings. Yes, and that's perfectly fine. If you feel that way, there's no reason to start typing. I mean, this is for you guys to get the best meditation you can get, and sometimes it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, and sometimes you sit for an hour or maybe even longer. I see Oddity is writing, I have a tendency to count, but not the breath. So it was interesting to count after the cycle. Help with focus, just like you mentioned earlier in the sitting. Yes, counting is a really good way of bringing your focus because you're doing something with your mind. It's kind of like a mantra, you can say anything, but the whole idea with using the mind like that is not to bring, how should I put this? You do the count, not because the count is important. It's not about how many numbers you're able to count up and down. You do the count because it, first of all, gives your mind something to be occupied with. And then you learn to use your awareness so you're not focusing on the count, but you're actually, it's kind of when you ask, people ask the question, who am I? Or like, we can do a really easy test. If you just close your eyes again, you just sit down. I'll just show you something that's actually quite interesting. You just close your breath and just start focusing on your breath again. And I'm going to give you an exercise to do, a very quick one. So just focus on your breath as it's going in and it's going out. 1. Breath is going in. The breath is going out. 2. Breath is going in, and breath is going out. 3. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't want you to answer that question with a word or with a sentence. I just want you to look for the answer to the question. And the question is, what is my next thought? And just wait in stillness for your next thought. I had to actually break myself when I felt starting to meditate. It was difficult. Did anyone notice anything? What happened when you did that? If you've had your next thought yet. Maybe no one had a thought. What tends to happen when you do that exercise and you ask yourself, what is my next thought? Is that the mind just goes quiet and you find this really clean, empty space where everything is just peaceful. Because you're using your awareness in such a way that you're just curious and engaged with what's happening right now, and you're just waiting for that thought. So you're not thinking anything, you're not pushing and pulling towards that. Oddity is writing, hard to explain. There was a delay, no thought right after the question. Then sitting at my desk popped into my head. Okay, yeah. And it really does, for people who have loads of thought and who can't stop thinking. I mean, well, it doesn't really matter if you're thinking, but when you feel overwhelmed by your thought, if you do an exercise like this, there's a way that you're using your awareness when you kind of almost like stepping back a bit and just waiting for something to happen. And that awareness is something that we're trying to do with this staccato looking at the breath. It's quite similar. It's an awareness that is not pointed. Even though I said you follow the breath, it's not the breath goes here. It's more an awareness of the breath everywhere. It's a very wide awareness, very soft, all-encompassing, and it's more awareness of breath than the actual physical sensations of it. And I've talked to people who have done this, who just pop them into like a non-dualistic experience because they just step back so much and just like, oh. And there was just no thought, and then they get into that clean state, and then life just gets very easy when you're in that clean state. And I want to point out that it's not really that there's no thoughts. That's the important thing. The important thing is that you're not having attention towards things around you because you're letting go of all of that in this moment. Nice. If no one has any other questions, then I think we'll end it for today, and we'll have another sitting on Thursday, same time. And then it's not a guided meditation, but then we just sit together and you can do your own technique, whatever you feel like. Thank you, Esperanza. It's Tim, right? I keep mixing it up. Esperanza was Tim, right? I think so. Happy to hear that, Oddity. Yeah, come back again and join us. We're here every Monday and every Thursday at 8 o'clock. Good. I'll see you guys on Thursday and then next week again. Have a nice week. Yes, good, I remembered. You know why I remember? Because Esperanza... it's just I don't know why, there's something about the name that just pops out. But anyway, yeah, see you guys.